We are having to break into your regular programming at this hour because we have breaking news to bring you. This is a school shooting here in North Texas. We just confirmed that a few moments ago at Bowie High School in Arlington. You're looking at a map here if you're not familiar with the area since we zoomed down so quickly there. This is south of I-20, just west of 360. We have confirmed that there was a shooting there outside near the portable buildings. You can see some video right now, this from HD Chopper 8 of the scene. We have a police response in place there as authorities make their way onto the scene and try to get a handle on what is going on there. We want to bring in Rebecca Lopez, our senior crime and justice reporter here at WFAA, who has been working her sources for these last several minutes frantically here, trying to get more information because, Rebecca, we know, having seen this so many times now, that parents are going to be hungry for information right now. What do you know at this point?
Well, what we're hearing from sources and a teacher actually at the school is that a student or someone has been shot outside the portable buildings, and this happened just before school let out. They let out at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and so it was just before school was letting out, and there was a shooting, and we're told that the student is in grave condition right now. They are obviously in lockdown. They're going to delay the students being dismissed, and also they're working on reunification, which is a process that happens when we unfortunately see this happen so often. They're waiting to see where they're going to reunite the parents and the students. There's obviously a plan. Now, there are school resource officers on Arlington campus. They do have their own police department, but you can see there, they also have the Arlington police that are there at the scene at this time. Very scary situation. Now, I'm told, obviously, because we're dealing with portables, no one has to go through a metal detector, and in fact, a lot of people know how to gain access to this area of the school because it is pretty open. You could be a former student, you could be a current student. I was speaking to an expert a while ago who is very well versed in police shootings, unfortunately, because he's been to many, many scenes, and he says, look, when there's one student shot, chances are this is going to be targeted. We saw something similar to this at Wilmer Hutchins last week, when there was a student that was shot there, and we know that the students knew each other. He says, look, Rebecca, if we thought that this was something random, you would probably have seen more people shot. So he thinks that this is probably going to be one of those situations where these two students, or a student and a teacher, or somebody knows each other in this situation. Again, we don't know anything about a suspect or if there's a suspect in custody at this time. We just know that there is someone that has been shot near those portable buildings. I'm being told by a teacher that it is a student, and that's what we have right now. You can see people standing outside there waiting for information. I'm sure those are parents. As we know, I've been to many, many of these, unfortunately, and the parents, swarm to school. They want to know, is my child okay? It's a very scary situation.
It's important in these situations, since we've been through so many of these, it's important to share everything we know, and of course the things we don't know as well, just to make sure that parents at home are hearing this correctly too, because I think that our minds tend to jump when we hear school shooting. We tend to think of active shooter, we think of multiple people possibly involved. At this point, we're not hearing anything as far as active shooter, according to your sources anyway, and at this point we're hearing about potentially one student who has been hit by gunfire?
Yes, one student. I'm told that student is not doing well at all. This is a very grave situation. This student is in very critical condition. It is a tough situation out there for everyone involved. Again, you can see that portable building, but my sources are saying that there's not an active shooter. They're not looking for someone still in the school or on the property at the school. And we don't know at this point, if they even have a suspect. But again, this happened just before school was about to let out, right near that area that's very open. Like anyone can walk right on up there to that area.
Okay, so So important information there, Rebecca. Of course, everything is relative, but it has to bring at least a little bit of relief if you're a parent listening to this and your child attends Bowie High School there in Arlington to hear that this is not, at least at this point, being treated as an active shooter situation where you still have something unfolding there. But again, that is relatively speaking, because as you mentioned, it appears, at least from sourcing here, that at least one student or at least one person has been gravely injured here, and that things are not looking good. Let's bring in Tanya Iser here, who's in studio with me. And Tanya, this is tracking very much with what your sources are telling you as well.
It is, and every time we have one of these situations, Jason, the information is trickling in, and we're trying to be very careful about what we report and how we report it, making sure that we're not reporting rumors, right? So because we don't want to incite additional fear. But what we do know is that law enforcement they have locked down this school. They're going to be going room to room, checking it, and we don't know at this point. Do they have the shooter in custody? Who was the shooter? How did this happen? We also know from the school shooting 8 days ago at Wilmer Hutchins that in that case they were able to get past the metal detectors.
Right.
And we still don't know exactly how that happened.
Yeah, that was an interior inside the school. This is a little bit different situation, as Rebecca was talking about, where we've got a scene that unfolded outside the portables there, which may be much less secure than the inside of a school. But again, everything's relative. We were just talking a little more than a week ago about the inside of a school that had metal detectors installed, and still somehow a gun got in.
Well, and high schools are very large, right? They have lots of buildings, and it ultimately difficult to protect and prevent someone from getting a gun on campus. I mean, I think schools do the best they can, but this is the kind of thing that shows the difficulty with, somebody who, did this person have that gun on them all day? Did they go to their car and bring it? And, there's just so much we don't know, and that's what makes this so hard. And, the lawmakers did pass legislation in the last session that mandated that schools have additional armed security on campuses, and school districts across the state have been struggling to hire additional police officers, armed security to get them on campus. We don't know.
Well, and to come up with the money, too. This was an unfunded mandate from the state that didn't come with the total funding to cover that cost. And so a lot of districts have been scrounging, looking for the funding for that. But as Rebecca was just saying there, this school did have that security force. And even then, you can't harden it enough. If someone is determined to commit an act of violence, you may not be able to harden it enough in a situation like this if they're able to get their hands on a gun like this. For parents, this is especially hard. Your hearts go out to parents every time when something like this happens, because, maybe you can get your kid on the phone, maybe you can't get your kid on the phone, and if you hear that there's at least one person they are working on there who is not doing well, your mind can start to race if you're not able to get your kid on the phone. And they don't want you necessarily showing up to the school because they've blocked off the entrances and exits in a lot of cases while they're investigating there.
Absolutely. My kid goes to Arlington schools, so the first thing I thought was Arlington schools.
Which one is it?
Right, exactly. And because my kid's at an elementary school, but It's terrifying every time one of these things happens. And you hope that each time it happens that we learn lessons from it. Thankfully, it doesn't appear that this is, going to end up being as,
a mass shooting, perhaps.
Yes, like we saw in Uvalde, which was absolutely horrific. But as law enforcement moves forward, they'll be, working to reunite people with their kids. I mean, that's a whole process. That could take hours. We could be looking up, the students are, being held in the school. Obviously, law enforcement's going to be checking that school out thoroughly. And like I said, we still don't know, do they have the shooter?
Right.
Where is the shooter? I don't know that we know for sure that the shooter's a student. I mean, there's so many variables here that we just don't know have a lot of answers at this moment in time.
Yeah, we've got a lot of question marks still hanging over this, but as you were talking about, from all appearances and from all of what we're being told at this point, this doesn't appear to be what we would consider to be a quote mass shooting event. Nonetheless, horrible enough, though, if that happens to be your child they are working on, who is not doing well, as Rebecca was reporting from her sources there just a moment ago. And this community, unfortunately, as we go through time and we get more and more of these, and you start putting push pins on a map as to each place where this happens, this community, Bowie High School, is just about 3 miles away from Timberview High School, where we had several students who were shot just back in 2021. So, this community, in general has been through this before. These are different school districts, even though they're right there next to each other. But, this community has been through this before, not long ago.
Yeah, because Timberview is located in Arlington, but it's a Mansfield school. And I was out there that day. That was another student who shot a couple of students, I forget how many, a couple students, and I believe maybe a teacher also got hit. And it was a very tense situation. I was out there on that one where they were searching the suspect's house, and as law enforcement was trying to piece together what had happened in that case. But you're right, just a few miles away. And
very chaotic. I remember the parents scrambling to the center there to try to reunite with their kids, and it's just such an emotional time for everyone involved. And to a degree, this will likely mirror that. If your kid goes to Bowie High School, you're really worried about things right now. Let's see if we can glean some more information from the scene right now. We've got Adriana de Alba, who is at Bowie High School in Arlington, where again there has been a shooting this afternoon. We know of at least one person, according to our sources, who's been hit. This is outside the portables. Adriana, what have you been able to find out there on scene? I know you've only been there a short time.
Yes, we did just get here, but Jason, it is the same scene that we keep seeing play out over and over across Texas and across the country. You see the panic set in. You see parents start to show up to the school, calling their kids, eager to get any information. So let me just show you what's going on right now at the scene. There's a heavy police presence. You could see that school was still going on. The school website says that they were in until 3 o'clock. And you see all the school buses lined up there. They were ready to pick up the kids. And now we know that all the kids are on lockdown inside of the school because of an incident that happened outside of the school. So not a lot of details at this point about this, but we do know officers are all across the scene. Parents are starting to gather, and the school has told us that students are safe inside. I want to bring in a neighbor who lives just directly across the street from the high school. And you said you kind of heard some of the commotion. You work from home. What did you hear as this all began?
Well, I was in my washroom, and I kept hearing sirens going back and forth, and then I got a phone call from a parent that said that there was a shooting at the school. So I went out on my patio, and I stood up and looked over the fence, and I could see the police starting to block off the street. I couldn't tell where the shooting was, but I know that usually at that time that the kids are getting out of the school. So there was no movement. So I knew something seriously had happened.
Yeah. Did you see any officers rush toward the school or any movement on that front?
When I started looking, they started blocking off the streets. And I started seeing parents coming, lining the street. So I did not see them actually going up to the school to see. Apparently, it may have already happened at the time that I went out there and looked.
Got it. You didn't see any kids running out of the school?
No, it was unusually no movement going at that point. So that meant that they were probably already on lockdown at that time. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, and hope you're feeling okay. I guess what's your big emotion right now?
Well, I had 2 students come over here. They were crying in my yard, and so I was consoling them. But I'm really nervous right now because
It's too much.
Yes, it's too close to home. So
it's literally in your backyard.
Right. So it's going to be a busy night.
Yeah. Well, I hope everybody is okay. We did hear from the school district that all students are safe. Again, we're working to gather more details, but this is still a really active scene, and the parents are just gathered all around the school at this point. We know that there is some plan underway to try to get students reunited with their parents. I did talk with a parent who was texting back and forth with her daughter. That daughter told her mom she heard several gunshots. The mom, trying not to panic her daughter, said, okay, be careful, but obviously you know that as a parent, you really start to panic when you hear that your child is at school and they're hearing gunshots. So the thing that right now is the top priority, it sounds like getting those kids reunited with parents, but right now the school is still on lockdown. It was supposed to release at 3, but all the kids are on lockdown in the school, and we're working to gather some more details from police about what exactly happened outside of the school. Guys, back to you.
Adriana, for having just been on the scene there for a couple of minutes, that was really helpful. I think that clarifies a lot of things and maybe puts a little bit of the fear to rest for some of these parents. The fact that you have told us now, just to clarify and make sure that we're right here, the school's on lockdown, students are safe inside, except for at least one person that we know of outside near the portables who was shot, as we understand it, and that a plan is being worked on at this point. I suppose it's a good thing that they had the school buses already in place to take kids home, because we were at the end of the school day. So no doubt those buses will probably be useful once they give the all clear here and set up a reunion area. But parents are just going to have to do that waiting game, I guess. Like you said, we've been through this so many times and we see this same thing play out. Parents are probably in for quite a wait here to actually be reunited.
Yeah, that's exactly what's happening. And as we pulled in, we tried to get to the area with the least amount of traffic. We know that the other side of the school appears to be heavy with traffic right now. This side that we're on is kind of more of like a neighborhood side. And so we are starting to see parents show up here. And now it's starting to rain. We're also seeing several cars parked. And again, like when this happens now and parents are waiting to reunite with their kids, you have technology now, and so they're texting with their kids. Everyone's telling each other hang tight, and I think the main thing is parents in these moments want to hear from their kid and want to hear that their kid is okay. And so I think now it's just a matter of waiting for that reunion process to begin. But it does look, just from looking out, it does look like it is pretty organized just from a glance, with, like I said, all the school buses lined up. And then there are several officers already out there trying to kind of guide people in different directions. So, but we're going to try to check out some other areas of the school and just see what's going on the other side where that heavy traffic was.
Okay, Adriana, we're going to let you go there so that you can gather more details. Thanks so much for all of that information, though. Again, just to recap, in case you're just now joining us, we have had a school shooting, or at least a shooting on a campus. This is Bowie High School that we're talking about in Arlington. If you're not familiar, that's just south of I-20, just west of 360. We know of at least one person, according to sources, who has been hit by gunfire. And as we were speaking earlier, that person, we're told, is not doing well. We don't have any identification on that person at this point. We want to get right back over to senior crime and justice reporter Rebecca Lopez. Rebecca, you've got some new info here, as I understand, on the reunion process. Is that right?
Things that I need to tell you guys. First, the student that was shot, they were doing CPR. I've heard from 2 different sources that they were, in fact, working on that student. Again, the student is in grave condition. And I also thought it was interesting. You can see the police officers over there by that wooded area that we've been looking at, that video. It leads me to believe that possibly the suspect may have gone in that direction. I am told right now there's not a lot of information about the suspect. They are looking for someone. I don't believe that there is anyone in custody at this time. Again, they do believe that this might be an isolated incident. Otherwise, you would have had more casualties, that perhaps this was targeted like we saw at Wilmer Hutchins. And also a note just went out to parents on the app. Arlington ISD has an app that parents can look at, and they are telling them, make sure to bring your ID in order to be reunited with your kid. You have to bring that ID and show identification, and they're still working on a location. They have not identified that location at this time. But again, make sure to bring your ID. That is very, very important. And again, we were told this just happened right outside the portables just before school was about to let out. It is impossible to try and fortify these schools. They just don't have enough officers to protect every single area of a school campus. And in this case, they simply could just walk right on up and have a weapon.
And tragedy unfolding once again today. But thank you, Rebecca, for helping to fill in more of the picture for us here as we get more of these details in. Tanya Iser again with me here in studio. As Rebecca touched on, we've seen these officers sort of gathered over there near that wooded area near the school. At this point, we're not hearing of a suspect or anyone in custody. We're not getting a description. So that makes you wonder what the timeline on this is going to be like. If they think that there's somebody who's still out there who's responsible for this, that school is probably staying on lockdown for a while.
Yeah, if they think that suspect's still out there and we have got no word that they have them in custody, then they are most likely going to leave that school on lockdown. And I was very interested. You can see those officers out there in that field. They seem very interested in that wooded area. So it makes you feel like, I don't know if there's a piece of evidence over there. Do they think the suspect ran into those trees? Again, just like a lot of things, that we just don't know, and I think that's what makes it difficult for families. Is all the unknowns, and it feels like every time we have one of these, they just play out, and actually all the school shootings we've had, you think about it, they have been isolated. The ones local, kind of one person, having a beef with some other people, and then in shooting someone. So that's how it's felt in the last couple that we've had locally.
Yeah, equally horrible too. And one of those question marks you talked about was, we don't know how long this is going to take. We don't know how long that school is going to remain on lockdown. Until then, so many parents out there are just going to be sweating it out. It is hard to be a parent through these things. We're going to keep bringing you all of the info that we know. Again, if you're going to be reuniting with your child at Bowie High School, they're trying to figure out a place to do that. Make sure you have your ID with you. They're not going to let you have your child without that ID. Again, a shooting outside Bowie High School in Arlington. Our coverage continues next at 4 o'clock. We'll see you then.
Fort Worth. This is WFAA News.
And thanks for being with us here today at 4 o'clock. We've got breaking news as we come on to the air at this hour. If you've been with us for the past 30 minutes or so, you know that we've been covering a shooting at Bowie High School in Arlington, just south of I-20, just west of 360. As we understand it, at this point, we know of at least one person who has been hit by gunfire who was not in good condition. We want to get straight out to Adriana de Alba, who has been there on the scene for the last little bit as that lockdown continues there at the school. Students being held after they normally would have been released at 3 p.m. today until the all clear is given and a reunification site can be set up. Adriana, what can you tell us now?
Yeah, well, I can tell you since we last spoke about 15 minutes ago, there is some movement going on, it seems. We're starting to see people be given some direction, and we're beginning to see even more parents show up, because by now, if your child's not being picked up by the bus, then these parents do want to rush here and make sure that they're going to be ready to pick up their child. So we're seeing some movement, and I'm trying to figure out where exactly parents are being told to meet their students at this point. But very, very nerve-wracking situation. As you can imagine, it's the end of the school day, and now these children are on lockdown, these high schoolers, because there's been an incident, a shooting outside of the school. And again, we don't know too many details about that just yet, but there are a lot of officers on scene. I'm going to go ahead and show you kind of the perimeter around the school. We're not blocked off at this point. We're in the neighborhood and everything is pretty open, which I think is a good sign that we're not being blocked off in any way. You can see that the school buses are all lined up. They were ready to pick up the kids because this was around dismissal time. And now we see Arlington. It looks like school security parked just outside of the school parking lot, and they're kind of beginning to guide and direct people. So again, I am seeing movement. I'm seeing a lot of cars begin to move around, and more parents start to show up. So it seems that parents are being told to go somewhere to meet their kids, and so I'm trying to figure out where that place is. But again, the big message right now is from Arlington ISD saying that the children who are inside of the school are safe, which is a really good sign. Now, I've talked with a couple parents. One of them just shared with me that his son was inside the school in a hallway when he heard gunshots happening outside. And again, that student is safe. But we also talked with a neighbor who lives directly across the school. She was in the middle of working when she kind of heard the chaos start to unfold.
Well, I had two students come over here. They were crying in my yard, and so I was consoling them. But I'm really nervous right now because,
It's too much.
yes, it's too close to home.
Yeah, so very emotional for that woman who doesn't have children here, but her children graduated from here. And like you heard her say, students began showing up at her yard. She said she didn't see people begin to run out of the school or any students run out of the school because like I mentioned, they're all on lockdown. So I think for us now, the big message here and the feeling really is patience at this point. These parents are waiting to reunite with their kids. I see a lot of them with their cell phones out. They're just staying in constant communication with their children, making sure that they're safe and waiting to get some sort of direction about where they're supposed to go to reunite with their kids. So I'm just going to bop around and figure out where that is, and hopefully I'll have some more information for you. But for now, we're told all students inside are safe, and this was a shooting that happened outside of the high school. Back to you.
So real quickly, Adriana, before we let you go there, we have gotten word now that the reunification site is going to be at the Arlington ISD Athletics Center and the Aquatics Center there. As far as I see it here, that's about 15 minutes away from the school. But at this point, from where you are, you don't see, obviously any students coming out, any buses moving or anything. That's where they're telling, I guess, parents that they will need to pick up their children later. But this could still be some time that these kids are in lockdown.
I think it's going to be a while. Yeah, because I haven't seen crowds of kids being loaded onto the buses. All the buses are in the same spot. What I see now is a lot of cars on the move. And it looks like they're starting to head somewhere. I do want to bring a parent in, if that's okay. I just interviewed her, and she's getting ready to, she's been texting back and forth with her daughter. And if you don't mind just sharing a little bit about her daughter. She is a freshman, and it's end of school, end of the school day, and she reaches out to you. And what was the feeling? What immediately went through your mind?
Just dread, just unsure of what's going on exactly. This is the time of day when when I'm contacted that they are dismissed, so I'm expecting her to be on her bus and preparing to come home. It's just dread. And then I'm also checking the messages from the campus directly, and so I realize that it's a serious situation.
Yeah. It's a nerve-wracking situation.
Very, very nerve-wracking. I'm not sure what's going on. Where's my child in the mix of all of this?
Yeah, have you been given any direction about where to reunite or where she's being taken?
No. At this point, we've received information that they want to reunify everyone.
Okay.
There's not a specific address or anything
Okay.
like that. There's just some
Okay.
parents we're all asking
Right.
one another.
And we did just learn that it's an athletic center with the ISD, so I'll give you that information
Okay.
right now. But your daughter, though, she didn't hear anything.
As far as I know, no. So that I'm happy for. I don't want her to have any sort of trauma or any kind of issue with coming back to school or anything like that. So I'm just glad to know that she's telling me, Mom, I'm safe. Mom, I'm safe. So I'm okay. I'm okay.
Yeah. As a parent, safety is a concern now. Are you rethinking where she goes to school?
That's a thought that's gone through my head. And her siblings, are products of Arlington ISD. So, and like I said, with her being in this program, I think it's great. But it is a conversation that her and Dad, me and her dad will have to have.
This is serious. Well, I hope that you're able to reunite soon, and I'll share that information with you. But again, parents, looks like they're getting ready to get on the move to start to reunite with those students. So hopefully we'll have an update with you here pretty soon about how that whole process will start to unfold.
Okay, Adriana, boy, it just gives you chills when you hear these parents, because any parent can identify with them. And if you want to pass it along to her in case she's not familiar, and this is for all parents who have students there at Bowie High School. Again, the reunification site is the AISD Athletics Center and the Aquatics Center. It's at 1001 East Division Street. Again, 1001 East Division Street there in Arlington. The AISD Athletics Center is where they're going to be reunifying parents and students. Our thanks to Adriana, who's going to continue gathering out there. Tanya Iser with me here at the news desk following this today as well. You've been working your sources. As far as we understand it right now, one person hit by gunfire outside the portables there outside Bowie High School. Really hard to secure that area because you can't put metal detectors at the street level. The last we had heard that this person is in grave condition.
That's right. That's what Rebecca and I both are hearing from our sources, that this student is in grave condition. And there's, again, as we discussed, there's a whole lot we don't know. Do they have the suspect? Where is the suspect? And we've been watching that live look, and we see that the police officers were by that portable building. You saw some evidence markers. People are describing they heard multiple gunshots. We don't know what kind of weapon. We don't know if they've recovered the weapon. We saw, and they're showing it right now, you can see that right there. Oh, and then we see officers gathering there. But also we saw them walking around in the field as if they were looking for something. And so, did this student, or well, we don't know if it's a student.
Right.
Did this person, run into the field? And just like so many things, and that explains, I think, in these situations why school districts want to be very careful about how they release students, right? I mean, that's why these lockdowns take a while, because they're going to be going classroom to classroom. Even though, from what we can tell, the shooter is no longer on campus, you never assume.
Yeah, and just to that point, that's also why school districts are really careful about releasing information with these things. And we know this has to be a huge frustration for parents, but it's all still muddy right now. We don't know all the details. Senior crime and justice reporter Rebecca Lopez has been following this today too, working her sources throughout the afternoon. Rebecca, one thing that really strikes me here, compared to all of the other various school shootings that we followed, we were on the scene of this one really quickly with the chopper here, and yet you don't see the kind of scrambling around by police officers that we normally see, and it really makes you wonder about the whole situation with a shooter, with a suspect here. But those students are still, in lockdown inside that school until the all clear can be given.
Yeah, that reminds me a little bit of what happened a couple of weeks ago, a week and a half ago at Wilmer Hutchins, where they knew that it was a target. There had been a dispute between two students and a student was shot. That appears to also be what is happening here, according to a couple of sources that I have talked to. Otherwise, we would have seen more casualties, more shots fired. The fact that there is one person shot is leading my experts that I've been talking to, that have also been talking to people there at the scene, that believe that this may be something where it was, again, a targeted event. Now, I also have been talking to a teacher or texting with a teacher inside the school. That teacher, the protocol is, as soon as shots are fired and the school goes in lockdown, you get away from the door, lock the door, go into an area in the back of the classroom, and that is where she and her students are still huddled. And though it is a contained situation, they don't believe that there is an active shooter, obviously, at the school or in any other threat to the school at this point, it is still scary because you're locked in. You can't get to your family, you can't get to your parents, your loved ones, and so the teacher is just in there calming the students down, says that they were very frightened when they also heard some of the gunshots outside the school. I've been trying to find out what that area is, that portable, what they teach there, what kind of classes are going on. This happened right before school let out, just before 3 o'clock. And so just trying to figure out exactly who was in there, how many students may have witnessed it. And that's another thing. They're going to try to interview all of the witnesses or anybody that saw this to try to glean some more information as to what happened, what was the motive.
Yeah, even those who didn't see it, though, there's emotional trauma that's there, even just being huddled and locked inside this school, waiting for the all clear to be given, and of course also for all of those parents out there waiting to be reunited. Rebecca, thank you for that. We're going to continue our coverage here of this breaking news, a shooting outside Bowie High School this afternoon with at least one person hit by gunfire. We're going to bring you the very latest from campus. Cole Sullivan is there on scene. He's going to bring us another report coming up right after this break. Stay with us.
How'd you find out about the shooting?
I'm connected with the text and everything. My husband and I are both connected. And then a few minutes before 3, got notification that the school was on lockdown. APD was on the scene and not to come to the school. My son was coming home from work about the same exact time. And I just started looking for, things, news, anything that I could see. And
And-
then I tried to reach out to my daughter.
And what did your daughter say to you?
She said that they were on lockdown and they had to be very quiet, obviously. And I mean, she was scared. She was scared.
What'd she hear?
As far as I know, I don't know yet because I haven't gotten her. I don't know if she heard anything. She's in like a particular wing of the building, so with her program that she's in. So I'm planning on talking to her as soon as they let me have her.
I can feel like you're so shaken. What's
am.
going through your mind right now?
It's just your emotions get the best out of you. I'm just so thankful to God that they're safe. Not just my daughter, but all the students. Schools are supposed to be sacred ground. We shouldn't have this kind of stuff going on at school. They should just be here so they can get their education. So I'm just really glad that she's safe and she's well. I'm just waiting to get her back.
Is there anything like, obviously you want to know what happened, but
Absolutely.
What is it? What's going on right now? It's kind of just be patient and wait.
Yes. So about 3:30, we got a message that said the students, it's all clear. Students are safe. Just wait. Families, just wait as they figure out how to dismiss the students. My daughter normally rides the bus, but that's not happening today. So of course, I, communicated with her that we're on our way to her right now. So
She's a freshman.
she's only a freshman. So I don't know. We got to have some conversations. So I want her to stay here. I love the program she's in, but her safety comes first.
You don't feel safe.
Not at this particular moment, no. I don't. Not for my child. She's just a kid. Like all the kids here, they're just kids. So they shouldn't be involved in anything, like this.
Jason, I want to tell you where I am on the west side of the school, the Fort Worth side of the school here in Arlington with a group of parents, and you've never seen a group of parents who are so eager to hug their kids before. I was talking with some of them earlier, talking about they're texting their students who are inside the building, some of whom heard the gunshots, they say, from inside the building. Their students, the parents we talked to, are okay at this point, but they're gathering here on this corner, waiting. They can see the buses and the school here outside, and the district has set up a reunification area that's not nearby. It's a distance away, and officers here are trying to encourage parents to go to that reunification area. And we just saw one mother say she's not leaving this area until her daughter leaves that area. So she is staying here until she knows her daughter is on a bus and safe and being transported away from the school. We are still seeing a large police presence here at the school as we see some unmarked cars leaving right now from Bowie High School, where there was this reported shooting earlier this afternoon. Parents tell me they found out from their kids right around 3 o'clock, which is dismissal time. So they say either just before, right at 3, or just after 3 is when they started getting texts and calls from their kids saying that they're on lockdown, that they've heard gunshots. I spoke with one man who says his wife was actually in the carpool line when this happened, and he says his kids were worried that she might have gotten hurt because, again, this happened outside the school. The kids, their 2 children, knew that they were okay because they were inside in lockdown, but we're worried about mom, who was outside in the carpool line here waiting to pick them up. We're seeing officers directing traffic, and again, this group of parents here who are just waiting to talk with their kids, texting back and forth, in some cases calling with them back and forth. I spoke with one mother. Her daughter is a senior. Her birthday, her 18th birthday, is next week, and mom says she just wants to be able to bring her kid home, celebrate that birthday, and give her a big hug. We're going to continue to keep you updated from here at the scene, Jason.
Just totally get that, Cole. Thank you so much for bringing us that. Again, just to recap things here as we know them right now, you're looking at a portable building right there on the exterior of Bowie High School in Arlington, where just after 3 o'clock this afternoon, there were shots fired. We know of at least one person who was hit by gunfire. We're told that person is in grave condition this afternoon. We haven't gotten an update on that. We do not have a suspect description at this time. We haven't gotten any information that anyone is in custody either. And so that school remains under lockdown at this hour. We're told that the students inside the actual school there are totally safe, that the school is on lockdown. It may be that way for some time. They have set up a reunification area for parents to have reunions with their children at the Arlington Athletics Center. That's at 1001 East Division Street in Arlington. It's about a 15-minute drive from that high school. And they do say that if you are one of those parents, that's where they want you to go. And you have to take an ID with you in order to be reunified with your student there. We will continue to bring you the very latest on this. We've got crews all over every end of this, and we're going to keep on monitoring for more updates. And of course, you can get the very latest. We're updating WFAA.com minute by minute on this. And again, we'll be watching this here on air as well. Let's cover some.
I want to bring in a neighbor who lives just directly across the street from the high school. And you said you kind of heard some of the commotion. You work from home. What did you hear as this all began?
Well, I was in my washroom and I kept hearing sirens going back and forth. And then I got a phone call from a parent that said that there was a shooting at the school. So I went out on my patio and I stood up and looked over the fence, and I could see the police starting to block off the street. I didn't know, I couldn't tell where the shooting was, but I know that usually at that time that the kids are getting out of the school. So there was no movement. So I knew something seriously had happened.
Yeah. Did you see any officers rush toward the school or any movement on that front?
When I started looking, they started blocking off the streets, and I started seeing parents coming, lining the street. So I did not see them actually going up to the school to see. Apparently, it may have already happened at the time that I went out there and looked.
Got it. You didn't see any kids running out of the school?
No, it was unusually no movement going at that point. So that meant that they were probably already on lockdown at that time. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, and hope you're feeling okay. I guess what's your big emotion right now?
Well, I had 2 students come over here. They were crying in my yard, and so I was consoling them. But I'm really nervous right now because
It's too much.
Yes, it's too close to home. So
It's literally in your backyard.
right. So it's going to be a busy night.
How'd you find out about the shooting?
I'm connected with the text and everything. My husband and I are both connected. And then a few minutes before 3, got notification that the school was on lockdown. APD was on the scene and not to come to the school. My son was coming home from work about the same exact time. And I just started looking for, things, news, anything that I could see. And
And-
I tried to reach out to my daughter.
And what did your daughter say to you?
She said that they were on lockdown, and they had to be very quiet, obviously. And I mean, she was scared. She was scared.
What'd she hear?
As far as I know, I don't know yet because I haven't gotten her. I don't know if she heard anything. She's in like a particular wing of the building, so with her program that she's in. So I'm planning on talking to her as soon as they let me have her.
I can feel like you're so shaken. What's
am.
going through your mind right now?
It's just your emotions get the best out of you. I'm just so thankful to God that they're safe. Not just my daughter, but all the students. Schools are supposed to be sacred ground. We shouldn't have this kind of stuff going on at school. They should just be here so they can get their education. So I'm just really glad that she's safe and she's well. I'm just waiting to get her back.
Is there anything like, obviously you want to know what happened, but
Absolutely.
What is it? What's going on right now? It's kind of just be patient and wait.
Yes. So about 3:30, we got a message that said the students, it's all clear. Students are safe. Just wait. Families, just wait as they figure out how to dismiss the students. My daughter normally rides the bus, but that's not happening today. So of course, I'm, communicated with her that we're on our way to her right now. So
She's a freshman.
she's only a freshman. So I don't know. We got to have some conversations. So I want her to stay here. I love the program she's in, but her safety comes first.
You don't feel safe.
Not at this particular moment, no. I don't. Not for my child. She's just a kid. Like all the kids here, they're just kids. So they shouldn't be involved in anything, like this.
Fort Worth, this is WFAA News.
And as we come into our second half hour of the news here at 4 o'clock, we want to remind you that we are still following that breaking news that took up most of the first half of this newscast. A shooting just outside the actual building of Bowie High School in Arlington. It happened just outside of one of the portables there on that campus. As we understand it, according to sources now, at least one person, or only one person, has been hit by gunfire. We were told that that person was in grave condition. We have not gotten an update on their condition since. You see a bunch of school buses parked outside this school. As we understand it right now, that campus is still locked down until the all clear can be given here once police feel it is safe to actually start moving those students out. They will be sending them to the Arlington ISD Athletic and Aquatic Center that is at 1001 East Division Street there in Arlington, which is about 15 minutes away from that high school. We know that parents have been sent to that athletic center and are quite anxious, of course, to be reunited with their students, but it could be a while. Let's get back out to Cole Sullivan this afternoon, who has been there at the scene speaking with a lot of folks. Cole, what can you tell us now?
Jason, I've got some new information from talking to two seniors here at the school. They say those portables, those outbuildings where sources tell us the shooting occurred, that's where the in-school suspension is here at Bowie High School. I also just spoke off camera with police. They're preparing to give a briefing sometime in the next few minutes or hours. They say that one person was transported to a hospital here from the scene. There is still a heavy police presence here and still parents here, despite those urgings from the school district to drive to go get their kids at a different location. We have not seen any of those school buses you were talking about lined up in front of the school here. We have not seen any of them leave as of yet. No indication that students are being bused to that secondary location, but everything still seems like it's remaining inside the school. Arlington police say they're doing protective sweeps of the area right now, and we don't know whether the person who fired a gun is in custody at this point, at least not from here at the scene. What we do know from our sources that the victim transported to the hospital in grave condition. The students here say that's what they've heard as well. And their group chats where they're checking on friends, where they're sharing videos of each other inside the school, and then also some videos we're told of the aftermath of this shooting. It all echoes the reporting that we have already heard, that these students are in, this victim here is in grave condition here at the scene and transported from the scene to a hospital, Arlington police say. Parents are still anxious for answers. This all now almost an hour and a half after school was supposed to let out, after their kids were supposed to be on buses on their way home. Now they're waiting to get their kids out of this lockdown situation that's still unfolding here at Bowie High School. My colleague Adriana DeAlba is also covering this story. She is in a different location near the school. And Adriana, I know you've got some updates from where you are as well.
I do, and the situation kind of has seemed to change, have changed a lot in the last half hour or so, I'd say. So I'm on the opposite side of where Cole's standing, and so earlier I mentioned that there were school buses lined up all across the parking lot of the school. We started to see them clear out, and I'll just kind of show you. I don't know if you'll be able to see through those trees, but they moved those school buses to the other side of the school, and I think that's where Cole is standing. And so I believe that they're beginning the process, like preparing these buses to start heading to that reunification site. And as far as parents, boy, they've really cleared out of the area, and I talked with a lot of them. They're going directly where they were told to go, which is the athletic center, that they're being told to wait for their children to be reunited. And so again, the students are still in the school at this point. The buses have moved around, and it looks like they're getting the ball rolling on that front. I did want to mention, or point one thing out. If you look over to the side of the school, you'll see some portable buildings, and we believe that is where the shooting happened, is outside of those portable buildings. I just spoke with a student. Somehow he was able to leave school, but he just shared with me that he was in the hallway near where those portables are, and that he heard the commotion and they found out that there was a shooting. Now, he told me that those portables are ISS buildings, so being used for in-school suspension. So again, we can't confirm or tie the two together, that this led to this, but what we know is from a student is that those buildings are used for in-school suspension. So again, there just are so many questions still. The only thing we have confirmed from police at this point is the fact that there was a shooting outside of the school and one person was shot, and that person has been taken to the hospital. So we're just kind of standing by to see at what point police are going to give us an update on what exactly unfolded here tonight. But there is a lot of movement happening here now outside of the school as those parents gear up to reunite with their kids.
All right, Adriana, thank you for that new information there. And, the cadence of these things, we know that this can take a while for them to clear that school, especially since we haven't heard anything about an arrest or a suspect in this case. So we don't know how long those students are going to be held in lockdown. We do know that they're going to be headed to that reunification center that you see there on the map. Again, it's about a 15-minute drive away to the north from Bowie High School there in Arlington at 1001 East Division Street there in Arlington. And that's where we find Scoop Jefferson this afternoon, who is there along with a lot of other really nervous, anxious parents who are waiting to be reunified with their kids. Scoop.
Yeah, parents are arriving here in droves. You're right. It will take about 15 minutes to get here. Traffic is heavy right now because the afternoon commute is picking up. As you can see behind me, Arlington Police and Arlington ISD, they are working together here at the Reunification Center. This is the athletic center here on East Division Street in Arlington, where parents will be able to pick up their children. Now, parents are asked to bring identification. Now, we do have, again, as I mentioned, parents already arriving. They are pulling into the parking lot. Right now, they are being told to stay in their cars until the reunification process actually begins. Again, this is where they will come and pick up their children. As you can imagine, after hearing about the school shooting at Bowie High School, students will be relieved just to lay eyes on their children. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of hugs and a very emotional time for parents and their students. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, Scoop, we saw that just a couple of years ago, not far away, about 3 miles away from Bowie High School at Timberview High School in 2021. I know Scoop was there at the reunification for that one as well. Very emotional time for students and for parents. We're going to continue following this breaking news of this shooting outside Bowie High School this afternoon, just as school was about to let out. We will have more details here on air, and of course, we're updating to the minute at WFAA.com as well. Let's do a quick
I want to bring in a neighbor who lives just directly across the street from the high school. And you said you kind of heard some of the commotion. You work from home. What did you hear as this all began?
Well, I was in my washroom and I kept hearing sirens going back and forth. And then I got a phone call from a parent that said that there was a shooting at the school. So I went out on my patio and I stood up and looked over the fence, and I could see the police starting to block off the street. I didn't know, I couldn't tell where the shooting was, but I know that usually at that time that the kids are getting out of the school. So there was no movement, so I knew something seriously had happened.
Yeah. Did you see any officers rush toward the school or any movement on that front?
When I started looking, they started blocking off the streets, and I started seeing parents coming, lining the street. So I did not see them actually going up to the school to see. Apparently, it may have already happened at the time that I went out there and looked.
Got it. You didn't see any kids running out of the school?
No, it was unusually no movement going at that point. So that meant that they were probably already on lockdown at that time. So yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, and hope you're feeling okay. I guess, what's your big emotion right now?
Well, I had 2 students come over here. They were crying in my yard, and so I was consoling them. But I'm really nervous right now because
It's too much.
Yes, it's too close to home. So
It's literally in your backyard.
right. So it's going to be a busy night.
Okay, so neither of you were at school at the time. What did you hear? What did you see?
We heard a lot of like sirens. It's normal in Texas, ambulances, but it started to really get bad when they just kept coming and coming and coming. We were like, okay, that's not normal, but it is. And that's when Aureli's sister was like, we should go check that out. And that's when we did, and we saw at least 4 ambulances, like at least fire trucks, and a whole bunch of police everywhere. And we were like, okay, that's not normal. Something happened. And I thought it was fake. That's when this guy pulled up and he said, no, there was a school shooting. And I said, it's real? And he said, yeah. Because usually we have practice lockdowns all the time, which is normal. So that's what I thought it was. And I was like, okay, that's not normal.
How did you feel when you found out it was real?
I was scared. I really was. I was very concerned for all my friends that I'm really close with, that I call brothers and sisters, who were in there. And I was just like, the first thought I had was to call one of my really close friends and be like, oh my God, I need to go get my phone back in his house and come back outside and check to see if he's okay. I think he's still in there. I think all of them are still in there. But it was just scary to like think about. It really was.
What about you, Aurelie? When you found out that this was real, how did you feel?
I did feel scared, obviously because I had heard around that it was going around in other schools such as Timberview a couple years ago and then Lamar earlier this year. I really was hoping deep down in my heart that this wouldn't have ever happened to my school, but now that it has, it does make me a bit scared to have to come back the next day and know that it happened at a school where I used to feel safe at, but now I really don't.
Exactly. So do you feel safe here now?
Not as much, honestly, no.
Help me understand, I know you've seen videos that have been going around from students. Where did this happen?
This happened by the ISS buildings.
ISS in school?
Yes, yes, so that is on the outside part of the school. And it's actually quite scary because I'm an office assistant, so I actually walk by there lots of different times, and thankfully that wasn't me. But I mean, it's very scary.
Where from where we are, where is that building? Are there portables?
Yes, they're portables. They're straight ahead
over
where
there.
these buses are.
Yeah, it's like over there and stuff like that.
It
Yeah.
didn't happen inside of the school. I heard from a couple different friends that they were able to close the school down before it got worse. But there's rumors that saying that they did struggle to get the shooter. So.
What are you hearing from your friends still inside? How are they feeling?
Honestly, they're just kind of like, this can't be real, because we were all texting each other. Like, I have a group chat and stuff like that. They were all texting each other like, are y'all okay? What's going on? Did y'all hear what happened? This student, this is his name, and blah, blah, blah. And they got him? Okay, so found out they got him now. But it's just, I don't know. It's just too hard to believe. I'm with her. I really didn't think that this would happen to Bowie, because this school is not as bad as people make it, but I didn't think it would happen to us so soon, and we're about to graduate, and it's kind of like, I don't want to remember our school as being a school that got shut up like that. Like, I feel like that's going to be on my mind for the rest of my life, that dang, we're a month from graduating and we already had a school shooting already. That's sad to think about, it is.
How'd you find out about the shooting?
I'm connected with the text and everything. My husband and I are both connected. And then a few minutes before 3, got notification that the school was on lockdown. APD was on the scene and not to come to the school. My son was coming home from work about the same exact time. And I just started looking for, things, news, anything that I could see. And I tried to reach out to my daughter.
And what did your daughter say to you?
She said that they were on lockdown, and they had to be very quiet, obviously. And I mean, she was scared. She was scared.
What'd she hear?
As far as I know, I don't know yet because I haven't gotten her. I don't know if she heard anything. She's in like a particular wing of the building, so with her program that she's in. So I'm planning on talking to her as soon as they let me have her.
I can feel like you're so shaken. What's
am.
going through your mind right now?
It's just your emotions get the best out of you. I'm just so thankful to God that they're safe. Not just my daughter, but all the students. Schools are supposed to be sacred ground. We shouldn't have this kind of stuff going on at school. They should just be here so they can get their education. So I'm just really glad that she's safe and she's well. I'm just waiting to get her back.
Yeah. Is there anything like, obviously you want to know what happened, but
Absolutely.
What is it? What's going on right now? It's kind of just be patient and wait.
Yes. So about 3:30, we got a message that said the students, it's all clear. Students are safe. Just wait. Families, just wait as they figure out how to dismiss the students. My daughter normally rides the bus, but that's not happening today. So of course, I, communicated with her that we're on our way to her right now. So
She's a freshman.
she's only a freshman. So I don't know. We got to have some conversations. So I want her to stay here. I love the program she's in, but her safety comes first.
You don't feel safe.
Not at this particular moment, no. I don't. Not for my child. She's just a kid. Like all the kids here, they're just kids. So they shouldn't be involved in anything, like this.
There, we know that one person was hit by gunfire outside one of the school's portables this afternoon. That person listed in grave condition. We don't know anything about a suspect at this point, and that school is still under lockdown. Those students still being held. More next at 5.
Well, I can tell you that it seems something is going on right now because there has been a lot of movement just in the last few minutes. Well, I've told you that the buses have relocated a couple times now while those students were on lockdown. And I just kind of want to show you what's going on. So I'm going to step out. You can see that the buses all returned to the front of the school now. I believe they're going to start the process of loading children, students onto the buses. Because like I said, they were on the opposite side of the school and now they're all in front. But something else seems to be happening and I can't pinpoint what it is, but I'll tell you that there were police officers and vehicles and motorcycles rushing from one side of the school to the other with sirens on. At first we thought it was maybe something to do with just escorting the buses and getting that safety aspect in place before they start to bring the children out. But now it seems like there's some sort of urgency because I'm seeing cops rush in different directions, and there's a different feeling now. Sirens again. Yeah, there's sirens are going off. So it does seem like they are after something, and we don't know what exactly that is. But at this point, you know, we don't know if this suspect is still out there, how many suspects. We don't know if a suspect has been arrested. This is still information we need from police, so it's just really, really interesting to see this movement that's beginning to happen. But again, as parents rushed here after they learned of a shooting that happened outside of the school, you already know that immediately that emotion and the panic sets in. Just take a listen from this parent.
It's just your emotions get the best out of you. I'm just so thankful to God that they're safe. Not just my daughter, but all the students. Schools are supposed to be sacred ground. We shouldn't have this kind of stuff going on at the school. They should just be here so they can get their education. So I'm just really glad that she's safe and she's well. I'm just waiting to get her back.
And that parent now headed to the reunification site to be reunited with her freshman daughter. But again, we have not seen any students load up onto these buses. Mansfield police just showed up. So now we can say for sure, I hadn't seen them before. So it looks like multiple police departments now, Mansfield and Arlington are on site. And we're seeing just a really heavy police presence moving around in different locations. We do know, confirmed from Arlington police, that one person, not confirmed if it's a student, was taken to the hospital. And again, we don't know if a suspect or suspects have been arrested. So we are standing by waiting to get that information and following this moving scene. I want to toss it over now to my colleague, Scoop Jefferson. He's at that reunification site where parents are waiting. Something is going on. Yep. Scoop, there's a lot happening here. What are you seeing where you are?
Yeah, that mother you just introduced us to will join hundreds of parents here at the Reunification Center. I'm going to step out of the way and give you a look at what's happening behind me. There's a reunification team here at the Athletic Center to help parents be reunited with their students. Parents are coming here by the droves. They are in the parking lot here at the Athletic Center. They have been told to stay in their cars for now, and they will be giving signals when it is time for them to be reunited with their children. The children will be bused here, all of them from Bowie High School. The students will be dropped off on one side of the high school and then reunited in front of the Unification Center here, the Athletic Center. Parents are asked to bring identification in order to pick up their children. Again, this is the Athletic Center. The address is 1001 East Division Street here in Arlington. This is somewhat deja vu because this is the same process that the district took when we covered the Timberview High School shooting a couple of years ago. As Adriana has mentioned, this is a very emotional process because some of the parents have been talking to their children on the cell phone just to hear their voices, but it'll be a whole different story when they actually get to see them in person. I did talk to one young man who was coming here to pick up his sister, and he told me that they got the telephone call and did not get any details about the shooting, but was relieved to talk to his sister on the telephone. She is a senior, and believe it or not, they have really never had a conversation about what to do when situations like this happen, but he is relieved that she is okay. Again, parents here at the Reunification Center on East Division Street are asked to bring their ID, stay in their cars once they get here to the parking lot, and they will be told when it's time for them to actually pick up their children. Back to you in the studio.
Yeah, thanks, Scoop. I don't care how many phone calls and text messages you get at this point. You just want to wrap your kids in their arms and not let them go. A senior crime and justice reporter, Rebecca Lopez, has been speaking with her sources and has some updates from our newsroom.
Rebecca, you've seen this time and again. What are your sources telling you right now?
Well, look, Cynthia, right now everything is so preliminary, and I want to stress that that information we are receiving is just coming in and trickling in. But what we know now is that one person was shot. We don't know if there were other people that were injured, but it was not an active shooter situation, where normally when you see that active shooter situation, you will see more mass casualties or victims hurt. We don't know the type of weapon that was used yet, but when we've seen the other mass shootings, we have seen the suspect use a high-powered rifle. So again, there would have been more people injured. So now, for now, it appears that this is more isolated, that perhaps the people that knew each other, that were involved in this, knew each other. A week and a half ago, a student was shot at Wilmer Hutchins High School, and authorities in that case also believe that the victim and the shooter knew each other. Cynthia, typically they believe that when something like this happens, if it's more isolated, you will see fewer casualties.
Rebecca, I know in the wake of Uvalde, the state ordered schools to upgrade their security protocols. From what you've seen, is there any indication that it's been enough?
Look, it's difficult to make schools a hard target because there are so many different ways a shooter can get into a school, especially a high school. Also, while there are school resource officers there simply aren't enough to guard every single entrance. It's just not possible. So we continue to see this over and over again. There are some districts working to make sure that when new schools are built, that they are built more securely, but that doesn't help the older schools. In this case, it happened just outside the school in a portable building. So again, that area would be very hard to guard. Now, Cole Sullivan is live with students, and I can imagine that they were just frightened. Cole, what are they saying about this?
Rebecca, scared for themselves, for their fellow students who are still inside in lockdown. But I have to tell you, this is still a developing situation where we are right now. We had more police officers just in the last few minutes rush into this area. When we arrived here around 4 o'clock this afternoon, it was a calm scene, if you can call it that. Parents had talked to their students and made sure that they were okay. They were waiting for that reunification. That has changed in the last 10 minutes as officers converge once again on this school, coming to this area. We're working to learn more information. Those students who I talked to are also trying to get more information about what happened. Many of them getting on buses that were parked just behind me here. Many of them have left this west side of the campus and gone with students, some 2,400 at this school, to that reunification area, or to load up with students to bring them to the reunification area. The two seniors I talked to said that when they heard all these sirens, they weren't on the campus at the time, when they heard all these sirens, when they heard what happened from friends inside, they didn't believe it at first. They were scared, and they were texting their friends to make sure that the people they love were okay. Take a listen.
I really was hoping deep down in my heart that this wouldn't have ever happened to my school, but now that it has, it does make me a bit scared to have to come back the next day and know that it happened at a school where I used to feel safe at, but now I really don't.
That student tells me she is just a month from graduation, and now at the end of her high school career, violence has visited her campus as well. We're going to continue to work to learn more about this developing situation, and we'll bring you updates as we have them. For now, I'll send it back to you.
All right, Cole. So again, the students are still on lockdown at Bowie High School. Those buses outside waiting to transport those children to the Reunification Center on East Division Street, the Aquatics Center. Earlier, you said this is playing out very textbook. What did you mean by that, Tanya?
Well, what we're seeing is they've put the school on lockdown. Presumably they have searched that school. They've, set up a perimeter. We have seen those police officers out in that field looking like they're looking for something. And I think that, the school district has been careful not to release too much information, right? I mean, because, there's a real line here between inciting panic, but also making sure that whatever information you're putting out is correct. And we've also seen them set up a reunification center, release to parents where their kids need to go. Where they need to go. You need to have an ID. So all this, unfortunately, is textbook.
Yeah, a lot of pulling in a lot of threads simultaneously, not only dealing with the student who was, or the person who was shot and wounded, but also looking for the suspect who actually committed the shooting and making sure that the students who are still there on campus are protected and as safe as possible as well.
Yeah, and that's what we would expect from school districts. And like Rebecca was saying earlier, it is very difficult to harden a high school completely. I mean, there's so many entrances. We saw that with Wilmer Hutchins, where they had metal detectors, and we still don't know exactly how that kid got that gun onto that campus. Yep. So, and this happened out by a portable building. So, how do you prevent somebody from bringing a gun there?
And then you listen to, sound from the mother that we heard from just a few minutes ago. I heard you saying earlier how your son attends school in Arlington. And like Chris said, I'll echo, I mean, these parents still haven't been reunited with their children. Can you imagine just how agonizing this must be? I mean, you just want to get your eyes on your kids.
Yeah, and it's an agony I hope I never have to go through. But yeah, my first thought when I heard about this was Arlington, which school?
Yeah.
Because, my kid is in that school district, and so, it's hard for parents, and I think that you're a parent, we're all parents, so we can all feel it in our guts when something like this happens, yeah. The fear. And then I heard, one parent earlier said, when Adriana asked her how she felt, she said, just dread, just dread.
Yeah.
Well, in the meantime, like we said, the students, we are waiting for them to hop on those buses and be transported to East Division Street. This area in Arlington will be very congested, so we want to bring in Stacia Wilson now to give us an idea of traffic in that Arlington area. Stacia?
Yes, let's take a look at that right now. A lot of congestion out there. Of course, you're dealing with your rush hour traffic, but going to that area where Bowie High School is located in Arlington, as Jason mentioned to you over the last hour, it is basically along the southeast corner of I-20 and 360. So looking at the interstates, you do have congestion. I think this is definitely related to normal rush hour, though. As Adriana mentioned, you have more traffic around the high school right here on the side streets. That's where you're going to find the most slowdown. So that's why they were saying be prepared. Make sure you have your ID if you're trying to pick up your child. Prepare to deal with traffic surrounding the school, the immediate streets. Also want to let you know what we're dealing with along, basically this is just south of Corinth, Lake Dallas. You have an accident. It is blocking the southbound lanes there. You still have a couple lanes getting through, but you can see that backup is pretty extensive there. Again, just south of Corinth over Lake Louisville. Fortunately, our accidents, because we had on both directions, 635 at Bruton and Balch Springs, that cleared. So smooth sailing finally there. It's been a bad day for 635, but we still have this accident along I-35 East southbound at Lake Dallas.
Tell me about you getting the call about the shooting at your sister's school.
I was at my other sister's house, and they just got the call. Yeah, she said it was somebody just got shot, and they were on lockdown, and they needed to get picked up. So I didn't know too much about it from there. I just got the call and was like, all right, let me just go ahead and see what's up with my sister, go pick her up. That's pretty much it.
As a big brother, that's scarier, isn't it?
At first, it was, I guess. I didn't know, not knowing what was going on, but talking to her throughout the whole process, I figured it wasn't too much of a situation. I didn't know somebody had gotten shot until like a few minutes later. She had already told me they was on their way here or whatever, so.
Yeah. When you were talking to her, what was her demeanor? How was she acting?
We're
with 5. We're colleagues.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was pretty calm. She was a little irritated, I guess. She said a couple of the other classmates didn't take it as serious. She was taking it pretty serious. But yeah, that was pretty much it.
As a big brother, have you had a conversation with her about stuff like this? Because when I was in school, I didn't have to worry about that.
No, I haven't. No, I haven't had no time to talk to her about things like this in this sort. So not yet.
What would be the conversation now?
Well, she is a senior, so this was probably her last year. But I'm pretty sure, like, she's pretty strong-minded, so she pretty know how to. Nobody can be prepared for situations like this. You know what I mean? So there's really nothing you can do besides just make sure they know how to handle themselves in that moment, not to panic, not to, keep your composure. So make sure you can think straight.
When you pick her up, what's that gonna be like for you when you get to see her?
I know she's all right, so, you know what I mean? I guess it'll be like picking her up. Something happened at school today. It's a little crazy, but I don't know. It happens a lot, unfortunately, in this world. So, yeah, I really don't know how to feel about it. She's all right, so that's all I'm really too much. You know what I mean? It didn't have nothing to do with her. She wasn't involved in it in no type of way, so I'm just like, all right, so as long as I don't really have no feelings toward it. It's messed up, but I don't know.
Tell me about you getting the call about your the shooting at your sister's school.
I was at my other sister's house, and they just got the call. Yeah, she said it was somebody just got shot, and they were on lockdown, and they needed to get picked up. So I didn't know too much about it from there. I just got the call and was like, all right, let me just go ahead and see what's up with my sister, go pick her up. That's pretty much it.
As a big brother, that's scarier, isn't it?
At first, it was, I guess. I didn't know, not knowing what was going on, but talking to her throughout the whole process, you know, I figured it wasn't too much of a situation. I didn't know.
Okay, so neither of you were at school at the time. What did you hear? What did you see?
We heard a lot of like sirens. It's normal in Texas, ambulances, but it started to really get bad when they just kept coming and coming and coming. We were like, okay, that's not normal, but it is. And that's when Aureli's sister was like, we should go check that out. And that's when we did, and we saw at least 4 ambulances, like at least fire trucks, and a whole bunch of police everywhere. And we were like, okay, that's not normal. Something happened. And I thought it was fake. That's when this guy pulled up and he said, no, there was a school shooting. And I said, it's real? And he said, yeah. Because usually we have practice lockdowns all the time, which is normal. So that's what I thought it was. And I was like, okay, that's not normal.
How did you feel when you found out it was real?
I was scared. I really was. I was very concerned for all my friends that I'm really close with, that I call brothers and sisters, who were in there. And I was just like, the first thought I had was to call one of my really close friends and be like, oh my God, I need to go get my phone back in his house and come back outside and check to see if he's okay. I think he's still in there. I think all of them are still in there, but it was just scary to like think about. It really was.
What about you, Aurelie? When you found out that this was real, how did you feel?
I did feel scared, obviously because I had heard around that it was going around in other schools such as Timberview a couple years ago and then Lamar earlier this year. I really was hoping deep down in my heart that this wouldn't have ever happened to my school, but now that it has, it does make me a bit scared to have to come back the next day and know that it happened at a school where I used to feel safe at, but now I really don't.
Exactly. So do you feel safe here now?
Not as much, honestly, no.
Help me understand, I know you've seen videos that have been going around from students. Where did this happen?
This happened by the ISS buildings. I
ISS in school?
Yes, yes. So that is on the outside part of the school. And it's actually quite scary because I'm an office assistant, so I actually walk by there lots of different times, and thankfully that wasn't me. But I mean, it's very scary.
Where from where we are where is that building? Are there portables?
Yes, they're portables. They're straight ahead
over
where
there.
these buses are.
Yeah, it's like over there and stuff like that.
It
Yeah.
didn't happen inside of the school. I heard from a couple different friends that they were able to close the school down before it got worse, but there's rumors that saying that they did struggle to get the shooter. So
what are you hearing from your friends still inside? How are they feeling?
Honestly, they're just kind of like, this can't be real, because we were all texting each other. Like, I have a group chat and stuff like that. They were all texting each other like, are y'all okay? What's going on? Did y'all hear what happened? This student, this is his name, and blah, blah, blah. And they got him? Okay, so found out they got him now. But it's just, I don't know, it's just too hard to believe. I'm with her. I really didn't think that this would happen to Bowie, because this school is not as bad as people make it, but I didn't think it would happen to us so soon, and we're about to graduate, and it's kind of like, I don't want to remember our school as being a school that got shot up like that. Like, I feel like that's going to be on my mind for the rest of my life, that dang, we're a month from graduating and we already had a school shooting already. That's sad to think about, it is. I
really was hoping deep down in my heart that this wouldn't have ever happened to my school. But now that it has, it does make me a bit scared to have to come back the next day.
I don't want to remember our school as being a school that got shot up like that.
I'm really nervous right now because,
It's too much.
Yes, it's too close to home.
I'm just so thankful to God that they're safe. Not just my daughter, but all the students. Schools are supposed to be sacred ground.
And we begin tonight with a major update on the breaking news in Arlington. In the last 40 minutes, Arlington police confirm they have a suspect in custody after one person was shot outside Bowie High School.
It happened around 3 p.m. and right now the district is working to bus all the students to the Athletic and Aquatic Center where they are being reunited with their parents. Now, Bowie High School is located on High Bank Drive, just west of 360. The Reunification Center is a few miles north of there, again at the Aquatic Center, which is near AT&T Stadium. In fact, there's also parking available at Lot 11 at AT&T Stadium for parents who can't find parking at the Reunification Center. More on that in a moment.
And here's a wider look at what's happening right now from our chopper. 2,500 students attend Bowie High School, and buses are taking groups of them to that Reunification Center about 20 minutes away. Buses just started this process, and there's obviously been a large police presence there as well. We have team coverage with reporters gathering the latest information from the school and Reunification Center.
Let's begin with Adriana de Alba, live outside Bowie High School. What's the latest, Adriana?
Hey, Chris, Cynthia, I can tell you that this reunification process is well underway, but keep in mind this is about 3 hours after when we first learned that a shooting happened outside of Bowie High School. So we have seen several buses filled with kids leave the school. I'm going to step out of the way just so you can see what the setup is here. We have a bunch of buses parked out in front of the school, and they're loading children up. They're taking them to that reunification site. Police are all around, just making sure that that safety is in place. They have had to tell parents, you know, obviously they're dealing with a lot of stress in this situation, but since this process has taken several hours now, they've asked parents to be patient because there is a certain process and protocol that they have to follow with a situation like this. So at this point, we are still waiting to learn information from police officially about what happened, but I can tell you that in the last hour, the scene around the school really began to ramp up with police chasing in one direction. Minutes after that, we learned that they had one suspect in custody, and what we know is that one victim has been hospitalized. But with these types of situations, you see the same scene play out. Parents rush to the school. They leave work. They drop whatever they're doing for the day because they start to get those texts, the texts you never want to receive. And they rush to try to get to their kids. But in this case, they've had to wait until they can be reunited. I did talk with one parent whose daughter is 3 weeks from graduating and was in the school, heard the gunshots, heard the commotion, and immediately texted her mom to let her know there is an active shooter situation. Very emotional for that mom. Take a listen.
For someone that was like actually shot on her school, and I'm just like in shock about it, and it's really scary. I had 2 students come over here. They were crying in my yard, and so I was consoling them, but I'm really nervous right now.
We shouldn't have this kind of stuff going on at school. They should just be here so they can get their education. So I'm just really glad that she's safe and she's well. I'm just waiting to get her back.
Now, that first parent you heard from, she's the one that told me her daughter was 3 weeks from graduating. Her daughter was on lockdown in a room without windows, in a little room with students who have special needs. Her daughter does not have special needs, but said that she had screaming students all around her. They couldn't really understand what was going on, but they heard the gunshots, and just very, very terrifying. Just that sort of just paints a picture of the feeling that the students felt and that these parents are still feeling as this reunification process is underway. But again, we're standing by on the scene. We're seeing these school buses leave to that reunification site, and just waiting to hear an update from Arlington police at some point. Guys, back to you.
All right, thanks, Adriana. I mean, you can get all the phone calls and texts in the world, but as a parent, there's just no substitute for hugging your child and knowing that they're okay. Right now, students are being bused to that center on East Division Street. Parents and guardians will have to show ID to be officially reunited with their children. Scoop Jefferson has been there since it was set up about 90 minutes ago. Scoop, how are things going right now?
You know, Chris, as you mentioned, this will be a very emotional process for parents. We saw the first school buses arrive here at the athletic center for the reunification process within the last hour. We saw parents after parents arriving here, some of them on foot, some of them in cars. In fact, Arlington police said they've got so many students, so many parents showing up that they set up an overflow parking lot on lot 11 at AT&T Stadium as part of the reunification process. Some of the students right after the shooting reached out to their parents to let them know that the school was on lockdown. As you could imagine, as a parent getting a call like that, we talked to one parent and she shared her experience when she heard from her daughter about the shooting.
As a parent, when I got the text message that my child was sheltering in place and she's hearing gunshots and she's scared, my heart sunk. I didn't want it to be my child.
Now, Erica Sims, her daughter is a sophomore at Bowie. She has a son that is a senior. He was not at school, and had planned to actually take his sister with him earlier today, but did not. Her daughter is okay. This is the line outside of the athletic center where parents are told they will have to have their ID to be reunited with their children. Their children are being dropped off on the other side of the building. That's where the school buses are dropping them off. As you can imagine, again, parents relieved that they will get to lay eyes on their children after getting a call that there was a shooting at school and that the school was on lockdown. A very emotional time here at the Reunification Center. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Scoop. You know, we're still waiting to hear more details on exactly what happened.
As well as any further information on the person they have in custody. I want to reiterate something Scoop just said. If you know any of these parents who are in line waiting to be reunified with their children, please let them know. Remind them they have to have an ID with them. Crime and Justice reporter Rebecca Lopez has been speaking with her sources all afternoon. She's in our Dallas newsroom. Rebecca, what have you learned?
Well, look, Cynthia, we know that along with the Arlington Police Department, there are ATF agents at the scene. The ATF will help Arlington police with the ballistics. If there are still shell casings out there, they can use the NIBIN system and run those shell casings through that system. They get that information back pretty quickly on the weapon. They'll know if that weapon was used in any other crime, then begin tracing the weapon to the purchaser. They'll know if the person bought it legally or if it was stolen. Also, they will begin looking into the shooter. What is the motive? Did that person have a dispute with the victim? We know that the victim was in very bad shape. There are videos that have popped up on social media of an officer doing chest compressions on one of the victims, which confirms what we heard early on. They'll also look into how to prevent this from happening again. While there are many efforts to make schools more secure, it's difficult to secure schools because there are so many entrances. While there are school resource officers on those Arlington campuses, they just can't be everywhere and at every entrance. So that is just what is happening right now on the law enforcement side of things. Chris and Izzy, back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Rebecca. Very complex situation there. We'll continue working to get more details on this shooting and how it's impacting families at Bowie High School. Look for updates on WFAA.com and join us tonight at 10.
Still ahead.
Outside Bowie High School, paramedics rushed one person to the hospital, and Arlington police do have a suspect in custody. Students are being bused to a reunification center at the athletics facility on East Division Street, and we'll update you as we learn more.
We are also